Puerto Rico has been a territorial possession of the United States for 100 years. In 1917, its inhabitants became U.S. citizens, and in 1952, a form of local self-government called Commonwealth was authorized. In 1993, voters overwhelmingly called for change, and today, Puerto Ricans are debating what kind of change that should be. Alexander Odishelidze, a writer, editor, and financial advisor, began life behind the Iron Curtain in the former Yugoslavia. As a young man, he fled to the West and was granted asylum in the United States. For the past 30 years, he's lived in Puerto Rico and has become an advocate for a self-determination process for the island which would lead to a permanent political status.
I'm concerned about my island. After 100 years of colonialism, the nearly 4 million inhabitants here remain squatters in our own land. We're American citizens, but we're not represented in Congress, and we cannot vote for the President of the United States. Neither are we a separate nation with our own internationally recognized government. We govern ourselves locally, but the U.S. Congress still calls the shots. This dilemma has stalled our economic growth and spawned a host of social problems. We have become dependent on the U.S. taxpayers for our economic existence. We have become a vehicle for outrageous tax breaks for U.S. corporations. Okay. Puerto Rico is sitting on a powder keg with the fuse burning. Only by a change to a permanent political status can we keep our economy buoyant. This crisis led me to become an activist for change and to write my book, Puerto Rico at the Crossroads. This book takes the position that it is the current political structure that is the cause of the island's stagnation. It argues that without change, the island will become completely dependent on the U.S. taxpayers to prop up its economy at the prohibitive cost of $14 billion each year and growing. This current political structure is called Commonwealth. Established by Congress in 1952, it was intended as a temporary status, allowing Puerto Rico to gain control over certain local functions while it developed to the point where it could join the Union as a state or go its own way as an independent nation. It was never meant to relegate the island to a permanent political limbo. It was never meant to create the present economic purgatory. Nor was it meant to create a political caste system that makes the status option the sole basis for political debate. Although we're considered to enjoy democracy, this colonial status has kept political power in the hands of the elite while denying the people of Puerto Rico a voice in the U.S. Congress, the institution that holds our future in its grip. In the last election, over 80% of eligible voters cast ballots. We know the rules of democracy, but the present system does not allow us to exercise it. And so we are at a crossroads. If we take one road, the one leading to either U.S. statehood or to independence, we can take charge of our own destiny. We can diversify our economy, attract investment, reform our social structures. But if we continue on the so-called Commonwealth road, we will continue as a tax gimmick and welfare economy, which will lead to bankruptcy and social chaos. Then, the U.S. taxpayers can add its only colony, Puerto Rico, to its list of bailout candidates. For the past 3 years, I have been informing members of the U.S. Senate and House of Representatives that Puerto Ricans want change, and it is the responsibility of Congress to provide the mechanism to facilitate that change. That is the American way, the democratic way. My message to your voting representatives, remember that I don't have any here, is to stop the tax gimmicks and giveaways and give the island a chance to pay its own way. My book uses official government reports to show that, as a state of the United States, our accelerated economic growth would create a surplus of income to the federal treasury. Over 10 years, it would place over $100 billion into the pockets of U.S. taxpayers. My request to these distinguished men and women is to give Puerto Rico one thing and one thing only, self-determination. There is presently before the Congress a bill designed to do just that. H.R. 856 would give residents of Puerto Rico a chance to vote for a change in their political status. In May of 1997, it was reported out of the Resources Committee by a vote of 44-1. And since that time, it has been awaiting debate and a vote on the House floor.
It is a historical moment.
We have sacrificed for the nation of our citizenship. Proportionate to our population, we have served America in uniform in higher numbers than any other state, and the death and casualty rate have been correspondingly high. Puerto Rico will succeed either as a state or as an independent country. As a state, we would bring much to the national table. A well-educated and energetic people, a strategically situated Caribbean island, and 4 million loyal American citizens. As an independent country, we will become a strong ally. We need the chance to tell Congress which way we want to go. The future of my home and America's oldest colony rests in the balance.